Welcome to Her Fantasy Football. You can hear us on Blog Talk Radio /Her Fantasy Football and on iTunes. Also, after listening to our podcast, you can also listen to us live on Saturday nights on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio from 8 to 10 Eastern. You can call in and ask us all your draft questions and more. Make sure to subscribe to us on herfantasyfootball.com so you know what we're doing this preseason. There's one more game. Ooh. Also, you can chat with us on Twitter at HerFantasyFB and on Facebook /HerFantasyFootball. I'm your host, Courtney Kirby.
And I'm Ashley Williams.
And I'm Brandon Marianne Lee.
Dun, 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 dun. Last preseason game. We're really not going to talk about their matchups and what they're going to do because a lot of them aren't going to be playing. But we're going to talk to you a little bit more about them so you know who to draft, who not to draft, who to maybe pick up if you've already had a draft and you had an unfortunate Jordy Nelson instead. So sad. So let's just get right into it. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Miami Dolphins.
Finally, Mike Evans is going in the third round. Can I get an applause?
Woo! That he needed to be dropped, I'm assuming?
That means you can draft him. You can draft him in the third round. Drafting him in the first round was obscene.
It's crazy.
It was obscene. So last year, 68 catches, 1,051 yards, 12 touchdowns. We're going to need more catches and probably less touchdowns because 12 touchdowns is very difficult to replicate. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with him. I would even say late second round. I'm telling you, though, the people that were taking him the first round earlier were just losing their marbles. So thank you for adjusting to a rookie.
It's that hype. It's the hype.
Hype train. Choo-choo. Winston's ankle is going to be fine for week 1. We don't suggest drafting rookie quarterbacks, and we're not going to start now.
Nope.
But I don't hate him in week 1 if you are playing daily fantasy sports, which, speaking of, you can sign up for FanDuel right now, and you can deposit up to $200 and have that matched by FanDuel, and you can use our promo code, HerFFB. Put it in.
Get on it.
Do it.
So
do
fun.
it. And just so you know, FanDuel set the amount of money for each player really early. So there's crazy players that are now going to be starting or number 2 wide receivers in a great offense that are for cheap. And this will be the only week to do it. So go ahead and spend some money in week 1.
It's the only time you're going to get Nelson Aguilar. Sorry. The rest of the time will be overpriced.
Or John Brown.
John Brown, yeah.
He's free. He's free.
He's free. They're actually just going to give him to you.
Yeah,
They're
It's part of the bonus as well. We're kidding.
Yeah, no, we're absolutely kidding about that. But he is cheap. You know who else is cheap? Doug Martin. But sleeper no more for your regular drafts. He's climbed up that little draft board. You know, there are a lot of disadvantages to drafting early, but one of the advantages is if you were listening to the show, we were telling you over and over again, Doug Martin is the starter. Doug Martin is the starter. I'm not even bringing up Charles Sims. He's a guy who exists.
Sure.
But Doug Martin is the starter.
Doug Martin's looked good.
He has looked good.
And I will admit that I am not a Doug Martin fan because I have gotten burned by Doug Martin many a time. But he looks different. It's a different season. It's a different vibe.
Last week he went 40 yards and a touchdown on 9 carries. That's what I want to see.
Good deal.
You can get him in the 6th or 7th round still, though. Still value. Looks like Connor Barth is going to replace the struggling Patrick Murray as the kicker in Tampa Bay. Kickers matter, people, if they're not playing.
Yep.
That's right. Dolphins. You know, I always like to look at strength of schedule. So in each one of my teams, I talk about how hard their schedule is going to be. It's not a make or break thing, but if you have 2 players that you like that are similar in ATPs, it's a great way to go off of which one to take. Miami Dolphins, lucky for you, you don't have to pay much for them. So you don't have to worry about the strength of schedule as much.
So weird.
But they do follow the 10th easiest schedule, so that is a good thing. Ryan Tannehill, he's going in the 8th round. We love him. He's looked so good this preseason, completed 15 of 19 passes for 145 yards and a touchdown in Saturday's 3rd preseason game. And, you know, he loves Jarvis Landry. You know, they hooked up for 5 times for 84 yards on 6 targets. So Jarvis Landry is another good buy. You can get him in the lower 5th, top of the 6th round because people know who he is now. They forgot about him, and now they're getting back onto it. But he was the second guy last year in his rookie season, and he still had 758 yards and 5 touchdowns. This will be a much different season for him. He's the number 1 guy. You know, Mike Wallace is gone. Tannehill loves him. They have more weapons. Lamar Miller is more comfortable in the scheme, and he doesn't have that fear of competition anymore. He's the number 1 guy. So everything's really settling in Miami, which makes all of these guys, I think, better picks. So you can get them for a great value. You don't really have to stretch for them, and you're going to love them. I love Lamar Miller. He is better for PPR leagues guys this year than he was previous years because they're throwing the ball to him. They weren't throwing the ball to him much before they were throwing it to the running back 2 guy, but this year they're throwing to him. So even in PPR, don't look at just his stats from last year. It will be better. Kenny Stills is a bit of a sleeper. We're going 170 ADP. And last year he had 931 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's a boomer bust player. So you're going to play him up against those matchups, but he's worth a look at, you guys. So I don't mind him as your last kind of pick of the game.
The yards are decent. It's just the touchdowns. Yeah. So if they can.
Right, and he is a boomer bust. Those yards come in fewer amount of receptions than most players. So, but in daily, what a great risk to throw Kenny Stills in. And then Jordan Cameron, he's going the 8th, 9th round. I will say that unlike San Diego's Antonio Gates and Ladarius Green handcuff situation, I do not suggest Green. I do suggest Cameron Jordan's back up. They seem to really like him. Deion Sims. They say he would be number 1 tight end anywhere else if Jordan Cameron wasn't there, and we all know Jordan Cameron's not going to be there all season.
Nope.
So don't draft Sims, but check him out on those waiver wires, and it could be a good switch up. And Miami Dolphins defense, they're worth drafting as well. Cincinnati Bengals at the Indianapolis Colts.
So I want to point out that both Jeremy Hill and Giovanni Bernard both finished among the top 16 running backs in PPR leagues last season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the deal, and I'm probably alone on my own in this one, but they're still going to split the ball, and everyone is very high on Jeremy Hill. Myself included, I have him ranked fairly high. I would honestly have him lower if we didn't have some injuries situations going on with LaShawn McCoy and whatnot. But they were both top 16 backs, but he's going off the board really high for me personally. So I just want you to be aware of the fact that Giovanni Bernard is still going to get a workload, people, and this has been evident as well in the preseason. So don't think that Jeremy Hill is going to be solely the running back there. I mean, do you guys agree with that?
I do. I love Giovanni Bernard. Excuse me. For his value, I think he's great. Yeah, I love him. And I agree with Jeremy Hill. It's a similar situation as DeMarco Murray. Where it's a bit of a running back by committee situation in these places, but I do believe they're going to be running.
But some sites have him ranked number 2.
I know. I think
that's
crazy.
That's
crazy. It's crazy. So that's what I'm saying.
That's people trying to get cute. He's
a top running back for sure. I just want to make clear, depending on what you're looking at, if you're not looking at our cheat sheet, shame on you. Shame on you.
But fantasyfootball.com / cheat sheet.
And look at our rankings as well, because don't go looking at one of those sites with Jeremy Hill numbers, second, and that's too high. That's too high for him. Anyway, I had a random rant. I just had a rant about him. Anyway, Andy Dalton, he did go out with a neck injury. He suffered that on a touchdown dive in the first quarter last week. But don't freak out. He was just removed as a precaution. I'm sure, again, the Jordy Nelson effect that we are all seeing. But again, you're probably not really drafting Andy Dalton anyway unless he's a backup quarterback. But fear not. And I just want to remind everybody that wide receiver Daenerys Moore, wide receiver Desmond Lawrence, and tight end John Peters were cut on Monday. None of those guys should have been in your lineup. But if you're in a super deep league, I just want to make you aware of some of the cuts that happened this week. Should we talk about the Colts? Colt time.
Colt time.
All right. So T.Y. Hilton, he was out of practice on Monday. But he was then in red non-contact jersey on Tuesday, so we're seeing the progress that we want to see. He should be fine for week 1 preseason. He's in the whole concussion protocol situation right now. Again, they don't feel like they need to risk it. So that's what's going on with him. In terms of with the Colts, defensive tackle Arthur Jones' ankle, he tore ligaments in his ankle and has joint damage. So he's going to go under surgery. Not good. He's going to land himself on the IR. So that's, something to think about in terms of the defense. And then Philip Dorsett, his knee was ruled out for the 3rd preseason game. His knee was ruled out. And so, again, he is still going to be the 3rd wide receiver. Don't freak out. He's still supposed to be the guy. This is just precautionary stuff.
I think it's going to be Moncrief.
I think you're crazy.
Dorsett is really fast. You know what? I'll tell you right now.
So speedy.
The first 2 weeks, I am loving some Colts tight ends. I hear nothing good about Andre Johnson this year. I hear he's slow. I hear him and Luck have no connection. I hear it is not going well for the 2 of them. And with T.Y. Hilton a little banged up, I think Dwayne Allen and Kobe Fleener are going to have awesome games in the first 2 weeks. I'm not saying it's going to be the same thing all through the season, but until the Colts really start getting that chemistry with all these new players, I'm loving the tight ends that have been on the team.
Well, and you're right. From what I've heard, Courtney, is that there is the Dante Moncrief and the Philip Dorsett hype. And I do think it's legit. They're both very good receivers and a very good offense.
Yeah.
But buyer beware. Again, the rumor around town is that they really plan on still running those 2 tight end sets and really rolling with Andre Johnson and T.Y. Hilton. So, yes, those guys will be brought in a few 3 wide receiver formations, but that's not going to be their usual. They do still plan on using their tight ends.
Well, in a lot of leagues, Dorsett and Moncrief are going to go undrafted. So it's kind of one of those things. They're going to be great in daily if they end up playing, and they're going to be great off the waiver wire because I don't think Andre Johnson's going to make it through the whole season.
Wow.
Bold prediction. I didn't think he looked that bad this preseason game.
I didn't think
They
so.
say in practice it's like it's not coming together between the 2 of them. So I don't know.
I'll tell you what, though. I think what we're going to be mostly talking about 5 weeks from now is Frank Gore.
Frank Gore, absolutely. He's going to be
Positively.
Positively. Absolutely.
Yes. I agree. Yep, I agree. All right, let's move on. Baltimore Ravens, the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay, well, this is my weekly Brashard Perriman's still not playing update. Do you guys feel
still out?
I feel so bad, but that's really all I ever say about this team, but it's just constant.
That's all my teams, Brian. That's why all of my write-ups are basically who got cut and who's injured.
Yeah.
There's very little fantasy relevance on the rest of them.
I will say he is still the guy that they want to play. He still have Mark Trestman's offense, although they're saying that he's keeping a lot of the Kubiak stuff, which is kind of true, but I don't know. Anyway, I think he'll end up being fine later on, but man, don't take him with one of your higher draft picks. It's just too crazy town. Javoris Allen, he's a little less of a sleeper than what people thought as a backup running back after he fumbled going into the goal line last week.
Talk about a way to upset a coach.
Critical about it. Yeah, he was like, hold on to the ball.
Ooh, cardinal sin. Oof.
Eesh. So, listen, this is going to be the Justin Forsett show, and I don't know why people can't commit to that, but I am fully confident committing to that.
Me too.
And then it's going to be a little dash of Taliaferro, but Taliaferro's hurt, and he's not going to play in week 1 probably. So,
a dash, like.
I think Taliaferro is going to have a bigger role towards midseason. But I still think it's Justin Forsett, and don't worry about it. It's only going to complement Forsett, but I do think they will use him more to spread the ball out. Sure.
Yeah. But I'm just saying this whole Javoris Allen rookie talk, you can ignore it. Joe Flacco has kind of had a preseason. I'm not too worried. 193 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I feel fine because he's going as a quarterback too. He's just there because you're thinking that Mark Trestman can do something with him. And Crockett Gilmore, I wish that I was more secure about ranking him higher in my tight end rankings.
You just want to say his name.
And I
do, which I understand. I get that.
The Max Williams talk is overblown. And once again, we also never suggest drafting rookie tight ends. So you could just cross them off the list.
What a great middle name Crockett would be.
That's a good. Yeah.
Write it down, Ashley.
James Crockett Kirby.
Yeah. Well, listen, he's making a serious thing. He would have had a touchdown last week if it hadn't been called back on a penalty, which, by the way, wasn't a penalty on him. But so it's important to look at the game tape so that you see those things. I'm just saying he's involved with the game plan. Dennis Pitta is not happening. Max Williams is a rookie. I'm into him. Also, Steve Smith must be on your fantasy team. Swan song. Last week, 63 yards and a touchdown, and he got ejected from the game for fighting.
I was so excited. I was like, yes, baby, it is Steve Smith. It's on this season.
It's all the things
so
that we
intense. I love him. He's like, even if you don't have him on your team, he's so much fun to watch. He's the best. He's the best.
Who gets ejected from a preseason game for fighting?
And gets a standing ovation from the fans.
It's so good.
Awesome.
So, but just to let you know, there are a couple names that I don't want you to draft, but to think about because they might be your wide receiver twos. Kamar Aiken, Marlon Brown, Michael Caponero, Darren Weller, and Jeremy Butler. They're all guys that no one's really drafting, but they might be your week 1 waiver wires. So do watch the game at Denver week 1.
Falcons. This is an interesting team for me. They do have like the easiest schedule in the NFL, which is great. Which actually, I'm okay with you streaming their defense, even though their defense is bad. They're getting better. They are getting better, and they could do some prizes against really, really weak teams, which they're playing. So, if you want to kind of throw them in, if your matchup's going up like, against Pittsburgh or the Broncos or Seattle or something, it could be an interesting flyer pick. Of course, you want Julio Jones. Who doesn't want Julio Jones? He's going 17th overall, and I think that's so low for him. I think Julio is top 3 wide receiver guy, so I love him. Matt Ryan, I also love him. He's going in the fifth round. He's great. He's really great, and I actually did write down his rushing yards, which I didn't do for a lot of the quarterbacks because they don't have much. He didn't have much either, but 145 yards, that's decent for a really passing quarterback. He's a passing quarterback, but 145 yards is a lot better than, say, Peyton Manning.
Oh.
Running back situation's a little bit interesting. It's going to be a running back by committee. Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. Coleman is going higher at 90, and Freeman is going at 112. And I go back like every other week deciding which one I like more. It's really weird, so I'm sorry if I'm giving you conflicted things. As of today, I'm on Freeman's boat, but I'm okay with you drafting either one of them because they're going to get touches. This is going to happen. So I'm not upset with either one of those choices because they're both going to be used nearly equally, so I'm okay. Roddy White, I am not drafting him. I'm staying away from him. If he plays and he's healthy, he will have a great season. But God only knows if he's going to be able to stay healthy.
It looks bad, right?
It looks bad, yeah. So
I'm with you.
I don't know. It's really is dicey. So if you want to take a risk on him, that's fine. But you're gonna have to take him in the 8th round. Kind of a high pick.
He might drop. This again, reasons why you should have your drafts late.
This is true. Hopefully he drops. New Orleans Saints to the Green Bay Packers.
So the Saints are one of those teams that is so just like static every week. You're taking Drew Brees. He's perfect where he's located for ADP. You're taking Brandon Cooks. He's finally one of those guys that the hype train's on, but he's living up to the hype. So yay for Cooks. You're obviously going to take Mark Ingram. So really my only updates here are going to be some injuries. And I'm going to run through them really quickly here. So fullback Eric Lorick was cut. Wide receivers Nick Toon, Lance Lewis, R.J. Harris were also released. Saints defensive end Anthony Spencer, he had an undisclosed injury and is placed on IR. The cornerback Keenan Lewis, his hip, he now has to have surgery. It is believed to be similar to like a sports hernia kind of injury. Not great there. So the plan is essentially that the guy that would come in would be Delvin Breaux or Brandon Browner. Browner, yeah. But the problem is Brandon Browner's knee has also been out the last 3 weeks. Yes. So the defense, if you didn't notice, those are all defensive players, are a little bit dicey for the Saints. So you're going to want to stay away from them. Free safety Jarius Byrd also has a knee. He's been sidelined since the start of training camp. there is hope that he'll return before camp, but again, it's a dicey situation for the defense, for the Saints. But on a high note, Brandon Coleman, he's done really well during preseason. If you want to talk about a potential sleeper and a guy that's not getting drafted, it is Brandon Coleman. Drew Brees is extremely pleased with him and how it's gone with training camp, developing a really great rapport, and he's not going off the boards. The only person you ever hear about who's really going is Brandon Cooks and maybe some Marquise Colston, but Brandon Coleman's got a chance to make a splash this year. Again, think sleeper, but keep him in mind. There's a possibility there, and I like him.
Cool. Green Bay.
Okay, well, guys, Randall Cobb got hurt. We'll be fine. It's like really, I just feel for everybody. Yeah.
Well, I don't know why they had him play. They had everybody else sit because their offensive line's banged up, but they're going to throw Randall Cobb in there.
It made no sense.
Listen, I mean, who am I, right? Who am I? But yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Bad choices.
Yeah, I mean, what can we do? But I will say I'm big on Ty Montgomery.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, now, I want to say Devontae Adams, I'm not going to talk about him because as far as I'm concerned, he's being drafted where he needs to be. Everything is fine. He is a better choice. But Ty Montgomery, last week, 2 catches for 71 yards. He seems to have a good relationship with Rodgers. I have no problem with it. On the other side, there's Jeff Janis, and he supposedly hasn't developed the same kind of relationship with Aaron Rodgers. He's actually made comments that, like, some days you get a great Janis and sometimes you don't. So that concerns me. But listen, I'm also the only other person that also is down on Richard Rodgers. As far as I'm concerned, it's not happening. He caught 1 pass for 10 yards, and then he was the target on Brett Hundley's interception. That's it. He's not involved with the game plan enough. He's not involved in the game plan enough for you to be drafting him, and I don't care what everyone else says.
With the Jordy Nelson's injury, do you think that Eddie Royal's value goes up or down a little? Or stays the same?
You mean Eddie Lacy?
Yes, that's what I meant.
Okay. Sorry, I was like...
Sorry to throw you there. Sorry.
No, I was...
Too many Eddies.
Well, because we're talking about wide receiver value, and I think Eddie Lacy's up. Anyway, I would say up.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't know how much farther up it can go, though. I think it remains the same.
Stays the same. It remains the same, but they're higher ceiling.
Higher ceiling. He's exactly where he should be coming off the boards. So.
I think Eddie Lacy is the safest fantasy football pick of the year because they don't overuse him, but they always use him.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice, Brandon. Nice. Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Jets. Eagles' schedule is pretty favorable. Sam Bradford is great value.
He's looked
great value. Oh. Pray to God that nobody else has looked at preseason but you, because Sam Bradford looks awesome. He went 10 for 10 for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns in 1 quarter against Green Bay.
And I've been down on him, as you know, Courtney, because I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop for the injury.
Right.
But he looks good.
So
I'm in love
good.
with him. Yeah, and then I'm paying all my fab money to get Mark Sanchez.
He's worth the risk if you draft. You got to draft another quarterback.
He is worth the. Well, you can draft your quarterback before him.
Yeah,
that's the crazy part. Is
he can be your backup.
11th, 12th round, and he has starting like. I mean, I don't want to get crazy, but like he could be definitely a top 10 quarterback come the end of the year if he stays healthy. And that's
every Chip Kelly offense has had top 10 quarterbacks when you combine their stats for the year.
But you have to combine them. That's the problem.
Combine them.
So we got. That's what we need to stay with one quarterback. We just need to, Chip Kelly, do something to make sure your quarterbacks stay healthy. Okay.
Yeah.
There's Jordan Matthews. He's going for good. Perfect where he should be going. Nelson Aguilar. He's great value. He's ADP still in the 80s. But people keep hearing about him, and I think that's just only going to go up. So I probably aren't going to be able to get him in the 8th round. It's probably going to have to be higher than that if you want him.
I haven't seen him go in the 8th round yet.
Yeah, I think he looks. I would say probably he's going more in the 5th round. So
it's literally only people that haven't been paying attention to football that are waiting until the 8th round.
Right. DeMarco Murray is the 10th pick overall. I'm not even going to talk about his stats last year because they're completely irrelevant for what he's going to be doing this year. It's not the same scheme. It's a different team. He's got to share the ball, but he's still the number 1 guy there. They're still going to be working him, but I don't believe he's going to stay healthy for the whole season. I'm passing him up in all of my leagues. You can get him, and definitely if he falls to that beginning of the second round, I would take him, right? But he's going 10 overall, so he might not do that. And let's see here. I think Ryan Matthews is the best handcuff in the league because of that, because of DeMarco Murray's possible injury for rushing, nearly 400 times last year. And Darren Sproles is there too in PPR. I still don't know if Darren Sproles is going to be worth it, but
yeah,
I don't know. His value goes up
with Ryan
if Murray gets hurt, but I think Matthews is definitely, he might even be able to play as a flex throughout the season with the Chip Kelly offense. Yeah, and then we haven't talked much about tight ends, but there is Zach Ertz.
There's that guy.
He's the hardest guy to rank, maybe.
Yeah, he will most likely not play week 1, so FYI, we have him ranked number 12. But I will say this thing for him, although he missed game 1, I hope he doesn't, because the last 2 seasons, the only 2 seasons in the NFL he's played, he has played all 16 games. And you can't say that about many tight ends.
That's true.
So I will give him that.
And
the defense, great special teams. So definitely a defense that you can do matchup by matchup.
They were the number 1 fantasy defense last year, and no one has them ranked high. I don't understand.
I know. I still don't have them ranked high. It's their special teams that's amazing. It's not their defense.
No, because their defense always scored touchdowns. They had the number 1 touchdowns.
So many points that it waves out some of those positive things that they do.
Still, they were the number 1.
Corey, don't you talk trash about any element of a Chip Kelly team. Corey,
I know. I do love Philadelphia, and I should rank them higher. I do. They scare me for some reason. They do. They just kind of. It's a little bit of a wild chase. Anyways, Jets.
So Jets, talk about another good defense. They're an excellent defense, but defensive end Leonard Williams, he had a knee injury last week on Saturday's preseason game, and he underwent an MRI. The results came back as a muscle strain behind his knee. I feel your pain, buddy. I feel like I've had a muscle strain behind my knee for a solid decade now. But I divert. Anyway, the injury is not believed to be long-term, and hopefully he'll be able to play week 1. This is according to Todd Bowles. So here's hoping. Wide receiver Salim Hickham, Austin Hill, Jonathan Rump, and tight end Matt Lacoste, maybe Lacousse, I don't know how to say that. They were all released. Jason Morrow, he had a season-ending injury as well. All this is good news for, I think you do the tight end rankings?
Yep.
Brandon? Good news. Brandon always struggles with, again, like Zach Ertz, where do we put Jason Morrow? But he's on IR. So sad news for all of you.
That's where we'll put him.
That's where you go. But so a lot of people probably drafted him. So make sure you look at your rosters because he is out for the season. And the defensive end, Kevin Bickerson, he had a hamstring issue as well. He also went on IR. That won't have a huge impact because he wasn't really a major player in the Jets defense, but something to keep in mind. And interesting enough, Geno Smith took some snaps under center during practice on Monday. It was not at full speed, but he was actually practicing. Now, again, this comes in terms of, are they not satisfied with Fitzy? Are they going to try to rush Geno? Are they going to actually roll with Geno despite the whole leadership issues? Drama's back with the Jets.
Well, they have Brandon Marshall. Can he be the leader?
I don't think that's a wise team decision. But you never know. So I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen with Geno because some people did draft Geno as well in their leagues. He's taking some. Again, do not get too excited, but maybe he can come back a little sooner than we were hoping.
Awesome. Jacksonville Jaguars at Washington Redskins. Quick one.
Blake Bortles, he's also looking good. 20-29 passes for 245 yards and a touchdown, and he ran for 35 yards. They lost the game in Detroit, but again, we don't care at all about who wins the games or whatnot.
Nope, we're not Jacksonville fans.
But he's looking good. I know you say it's Jacksonville, but he looks really good. Keep that in mind. We had some injuries again with defensive end Andre Branch with his knee. We had an injury with the linebacker Chris Smith. He's going to see some more play. Chris Smith's going to see play because of Andre Branch's injury. Offensive guard, this is concerning. Brandon Linder's toe suffered a toe injury during the third preseason game. So again, we're like, oh no, it's the offensive line that was such a problem last year. But he is expected to be good to go by week 1, so that is good to know. And then Julius Thomas, his finger, he had to undergo surgery on today, according to a source. Now, he's expected to miss 4 to 5 games. This very much drops Julius down in my book in terms of tight ends. I mean, Brandon, you do the ranking, but Clay Harbor is expected to take the role while Julius Thomas is out. And they also did sign free agent Connor Hamlet to the team. Now, his issue is that he actually thought about retiring because of all of his injuries, but he's a big dude. He's 6'7", 263 pounds, big.
Aren't they all now?
Yeah, and he's really good at blocking. So that's interesting, is if they're bringing him in that kind of role as well. But yeah. I think this is a very big drop, in my personal opinion, for Julius Thomas.
I still have him ranked 14, I think, because I'm thinking that people would be taking him as like their top, like ending or beginning.
Yeah.
You know, but you do a back-to-back on him, because I still think when he comes back, he'll be worth it. But again, tough to rank.
Well, and I will say, just to finish up the Jags, that it has been said from Jacksonville that Denard Robinson, the running back, might be the Jags' starting running back starting the season. This should not be a surprise to you people. We have said this weeks now. You need to back a little bit off the TJ Yeldon train. He's still viable, but Denard Robinson is going to play. He's going to be a part of this offense. Listen to them when they tell you this.
Staying alive, staying alive. Alive.
Love it.
Washington Redskins, my favorite.
My fave too. I literally have no notes open about the RG3 Kirk Cousins drama, because look, what else is there to talk about with that? So Kirk Cousins was named the starting quarterback Monday. I was like, Courtney's going to be ecstatic over RG3. And initially, again, like we said, it's that weird controversy where, you know, RG3 was cleared. Magically, all of a sudden, he wasn't cleared. Kirk Cousins was then named starter for Week 1. Then Gruden comes in and says, oh, no, he's not just a Week 1 starter. He's the season starter. This is Kirk's team.
Bam.
But I will say,
and by week 7, it'll be Colt McCoy's team, but I'm cool with that too.
Absolutely. It felt like Kirk Cousins isn't like terrible.
Yeah. I was gonna say he turns over the ball an insane amount, guys.
Oh, I know.
In 11 games, he threw 16 interceptions and had 4 fumbles. Which,
now, to be fair, didn't he have one game where he had like 8 or something crazy?
Well, this is in the breakout. This came from ESPN Stats and Info. So basically, he will have a turnover of some nature every 29 snaps. That's crazy.
It's crazy, but you know what? It's fine.
Still going with him. And Pierre Garçon, he had kind words to say about him. He said that he's a natural-born leader. He's like, you can tell what kind of person he is, that he is a leader. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's excited about the opportunity. We definitely want to keep him excited and never want to, have him lose that faith in himself. He's definitely ready and eager to get the season started and prove to everybody what he can do. And I'm kind of like, well, yeah, Garçon, of course you want a new quarterback in there. We all saw last season. That was rough for you, buddy.
And that's the best thing about making it Kirk Cousins right before, this all goes down, is because everybody in that locker room has issues with RG3. Whether it's RG3 or if it's the locker room, I don't care. I think the whole team feels more confident with somebody else behind center. And I think the value goes up on all of the players. And it's not about necessarily the skill of Kirk Cousins, because it's not, but it's the confidence and the connections that the team will make with somebody else other than RG3 as the quarterback.
Well, and there's talk that RG3 is going to be traded. So they've got a little bit to decide if he's going to be cut or traded. So that's the problem. Like, are they going to cut RG3?
Oh, man. RG3 is good for 3 games. I mean, I'm not, totally down on him.
Well, there's teams that are actually interested in him. Maybe it's the best thing for everybody that they part ways.
I think this is really unfair to RG3. No, hear me out.
And he's handling it very well, I will say.
I think so, too. He's handling it well. And, frankly, he's not a West Coast offense guy. When they brought in Jay Gruden, it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense because he needs the guy to throw. This is not his type of game. No. And Shanahan made concessions for RG3, and Jay Gruden's like, no, I'm the coach, and I'm going to do this. I think Jay Gruden's going to get fired, too. I think he's handling this piss poor, frankly, just terribly.
I don't.
There's no way. He's done a terrible job. He's created all of this animosity as well. I mean, he's not helping anyone, including Kirk Cousins. He's helped no one. And I think my whole problem is now I'm just nervous about drafting anyone from that team. And you know who actually this affects? Alfred Morris. His splits, Kirk Cousins versus RG3, are terrible. because when RG3 was back there, they had to, worry about him like getting loose or running, and they just stuff the box. They just stop him all the time. So I'm really worried about Alfred
But they
Morris.
also may try to mitigate his turnovers because he turns the ball over so often. Clearly, in an interception more than actually fumbling, that they may run Alfred Morris into the ground until they figure it out, till they get that chemistry.
I just see a Joseph Adai situation where it's like he runs for 0 or 1 yard over and over again.
Either way, you're kind of staying away from a lot of Deshaun Jackson. Again, like we said, is quarterback proof. He'll be fine. But I am interested in Pierre Garçon now, so I will be watching to see his chemistry with Kirk Cousins. And again, you can get him for free.
How does Washington derive this much emotion from all three of us for different reasons?
Well, that's what's the beauty of Washington. I'm not even talking in their notes because it's all about this drama. But you're right, Brent. Like it's just drama.
All three of us are upset about this.
But it's
Washington.
Well, it's kind of like, you know what, all three of us married completely different men. And that's how we are with the three men at Washington. They're all very different. We all have our favorites, and we're all pulling for one or the other. So it's I think that's just what it is. I don't think there's a lot of coaches who have not liked RG3. It has not just been Jay Gruden. And there's a lot of team members who prefer him to be off the field. And I will tell you right now, I think that offensive line is going to work a lot harder with Kirk Cousins behind center than they would with RG3. And that might be effed up, but that's the reality of it. And I just feel like the team is going to be at ease knowing where they're going while Kirk Cousins can be healthy.
Well, I think that's the thing, too, is they just want a decision made. A decision needed to be made. And so now it's been made. Yeah. But I do also agree with Brandon that I do think Gruden is on the bubble of getting fired as well.
He's gone.
And to some extent, ownership needed to see what Gruden can do with the decisions Gruden makes versus the decisions he's being told he has to coach with. So to me, it's like, hey, we know RG3 currently is not going to work in this market anymore, whether that's the team chemistry Courtney's talking about, his animosity with Gruden, the fact that you're right, he does not fit into a West Coast offense, and he never will.
No.
That will never be RG3. So they kind of just like, you know what, it's probably the most fair to get RG3 out of here. Let's see what Gruden can do with the alleged team that he wants, and if it doesn't work, then we're starting over. We'll see.
Fair enough.
I do love that, again, it's hot. It gets hot when we talk about Washington.
It does.
And I don't care about them.
This year.
Well, all right. What do they do with caring about him?
Whoa. Whoa, I know. Oh, sad. Carolina Panthers at Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll make this one piffy. Make it piffy.
Speaking about a team that actually builds around their quarterback, who also isn't a big thrower. Exhibit A. Carolina Panthers. So they released wide receivers Jarrett Boykin and DeAndre Presley, and let me tell you, if you're getting released from the Carolina Panthers who have no wide receivers, it's an issue. Jarrett Boykin, what a fall from grace. Remember when he was the next big thing?
So sad.
Can't even make the Panthers. Wow. They did acquire Kevin Norwood from the Seahawks. Now, you don't really hear much about him because, again, another team that doesn't throw the ball. He's quick. He has good hands. He might actually be a thing. Now, you don't have to draft him. He's borderline undrafted. No. You don't have to draft him. But he may be your first waiver wire pickup of the year, depending on how Devin Funchess works out, everything else. And speaking of Funchess, he left Monday's practice with a tight hamstring, but it's precautionary. He's not going to be the next Randy Moss. But all the bad things they're saying about Funchess, they also said about Kelvin Benjamin last year. And Benjamin ended the season with 73 catches for 1,008 yards and 9 touchdowns. So, I mean, listen, is that the ceiling? Yes. I don't think he's going to go above and beyond that. But, man, if he's anywhere near there, I'm fine with that. Because people are drafting him.
Value.
Crazy. Yeah. Jonathan Stewart is still healthy, but my favorite pickup at the end of the draft is going to be his handcuff, Cameron Artis-Payne. Stewart has only been healthy for 16 games in 2011. Greg Olsen-Love is all over the place, so he's not really a sleeper, but yes, he's worth the 4th-round pick. That's where he's going, and I have no problem with that. And I'm all for Cam Newton in the 8th round, ADP people. That is crazy.
Great.
He was a top 5 quarterback every year except for last year, and that's the only year he's ever missed a game.
Yeah.
So one year, and people are like, I don't even need to draft this guy. Great. I mean, he'll be frustrating.
I love Cam Newton this year, too.
Me too.
I don't know if he's going to stay healthy the whole year because he will be running a lot, but I love him first half of the season.
Value.
It's going to be good. Value. Pittsburgh Steelers. No value at this team, guys. You're getting them high. Two guys go off the board within the top 6 picks. Antonio Brown's going off number 6, and Le'Veon Bell is going 3rd with missing 2 games. So that's pretty impressive. With Bell's 2-game suspension, insert D'Angelo Williams if that's what you like or need to do. You might be able to find a different running back that could fill in those 2 games. But yeah, that's it. Don't be scared about missing the 2 games. Bella will win you your games every week until the end, so it's fine. It's worth the high pick. Ben Roethlisberger's going in the 4th round, 32 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year with nearly 5,000 yards. Ben falls a lot with the other quarterbacks who I enjoy. I feel like they're all so even right there. So you really can't, if you're going to go for a quarterback right there in that 4th, 5th round, if you miss Ben, if you miss Ryan, you get Breeze, they're all kind of going right together. So it's okay. You'll be okay with one of those guys. And Heath Miller, ADP, 169. I'm not a huge Heath Miller fan. He's only had 4 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, but it's like your last pick? Why not?
Well, not only that, but at the beginning of the season, when Martavius Bryant has been suspended, Le'Veon Bell has been suspended, and the center's injured, they're going to be dumping that ball to Heath. I like Heath a lot at the beginning of the season, a lot. In fact, you could do like Antonio Gates and Heath Miller. Play Heath Miller at the beginning of the season and play Antonio Gates for the rest of it.
I like it.
It's great. I think it's a good combo. So I'm totally okay with that. And again, Martavius Bryant has been suspended. Rumors are Marcus Wheaton's going ahead of him. Anyways, and on their depth chart, he's very talented. I think he will be great this season. But I just don't know if he's worth going in the 7th round at this point, personally.
Too high.
Moving on, New York Giants, the New England Patriots. Giants have the 5th easiest schedule, which is good because their defense is hurt, their offensive line is hurt. It's running back by committee. Victor Cruz, God only knows if he's going to be able to play. Eli Manning's looked really bad. So it's just, it's not, they need to work their stuff out at the beginning of the season. Let's just say that. They need to work it out. Eli Manning throws a lot of interceptions when his offensive line doesn't look good, and they don't look really bad. He throws a lot of interceptions.
He throws interceptions?
This is going to be Eli Manning circa 2013 for Brandon Lee.
I'm
excited. It's
excited.
gonna be awesome. Yep, it's going to be a good season.
Rage face.
ODB, you're taking. It's fine. It's enough said. Rashad Jennings, some are saying is that his value has gone down with the addition of Shane Vereen. But he's still a goal line running back, you guys.
Yeah, everyone's so afraid of him.
And I think Shane Vereen is only going to complement Rashad Jennings and hopefully keep him healthy throughout the season. So I'm not upset with a Rashad Jennings pickup at all.
He's still the primary back. At the end of the day, he's still the starting running back.
Sure, yeah. So, and Andre Williams is fine, but he's not like number 1 running back, kind of guy. So, I think Rashad Jennings is a sneaky pick in the 6th or 7th round. Again, Victor Cruz is dealing with injury. It's sad. I don't know what's going on. He's kind of a risky pick. But he is going in the 9th round, so there is some value there if he can get healthy and stay on the field. And Shane Vereen's going in the 10th round. He is a PPR guy. If you're in a PPR league, that's who you're going to be reaching for. And that's it.
Well, hopefully we're going to get news on the Deflategate scandal at the end of the week because I'm bored and I can't talk about it anymore. We're over it. I was over it a month ago. So who knows? Whatever. You know what's ambiguous? Brandon LaFell's existence.
Yeah.
So there's rumors he might even be like on IR. I cannot get a straight answer anywhere. It's official, right? So he's on the pup list, but he's not on IR.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's Belichick. You're not going to know anything
Belichick.
because he is mandated to tell you something.
we
Yeah,
saw
he's
him
probably
walking.
perfectly healthy. It's just that, Belichick doesn't want to know he's playing week 1. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who knows?
so we saw him in a walking boot. We know it's a foot injury, but that's it. And the Patriots won't tell us anything. So I hate him this year. Hate in your fantasy drafts. I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole. You know who else I don't love? Julian Edelman. Another ambiguous ankle injury, almost no preseason work, and then they signed veteran Reggie Wayne. Eek. It just, I don't know what's going on there.
Something going on there.
And you got to take him pretty high because he's been such a PPR monster, right? So people are like, oh, but he catches all sorts of balls. I don't know. I feel like the Patriots preseason, because of Deflategate, has been like a big curtains over it. I don't know what's happening. It's very weird.
It's just
Nothing
how
is
Belichick
right.
likes it. It's just
Exactly.
how he likes it.
He'll probably be undefeated. Reggie Wayne, though, is already practicing with the first team. And I want him when he's playing the Colts, at least. Bill Belichick will do anything to get him to score a touchdown against the Colts. Yeah. Anything. And Jonas Gray is probably going to be the starter week 1. But if you trust a New England Patriot running back, I have mercy on your soul. So, listen, he's looking good, but he looked good last year, and then he messed up.
And then you show up to a meeting late, and he didn't play again.
Never. Anyway, there you go.
There you go. Cleveland Browns, the Chicago Bears.
So the Browns, Travis Coons is the kicker. Don't play a kicker that is not playing on a team. Again, kickers don't matter unless they're not playing on a team. Get with the program. Johnny Manziel, he didn't need elbow surgery, which is great news, but he is not the starter. So we're going to have another season filled with Johnny Manziel talk, and I will continue to not care. And Terrell Pryor's fighting for a roster spot, and I just want to bring him up because he's the only person I've talked about.
Yeah, because that's your jam. That's your person this year.
What I do now. I have no stats to back it up because he's playing.
He's not going to make the roster as wide receiver. He is going to make it as a running back. Just watch out, guys. It's happening.
Yeah. And then he'll be a linebacker. And
and a cornerback. It's fine.
Yeah. Running back Duke Johnson, though, suffered a concussion. So Isaiah Crowell is going to be the starter going into week 1. He's going to be the safest running back until further notice, but they don't love anyone there. So you shouldn't love anyone either. But I'm not against you drafting Isaiah Crowell because he's going so late in drafts. But I am against you committing to him and not dropping him when you know you should. Don't pull a Ray Rice prior to the year that he got kicked out of the league. And people kept saying, oh, it's so sad that he's out. I was like, listen, I wasn't going to draft him anyway because he was terrible in 2013. And people wouldn't pull him because they were committed to him. Don't commit to Isaiah Crowell, but do pick him up and play him in week 1 if you feel the need.
Chicago Bears.
Oh, and then Chicago Bears. Yeah, I'm still talking. Sorry, everybody. Alshon Jeffrey hasn't practiced since August 11th.
Oh, no.
Sad, but it means that he's going in the second round. And I'm okay with that. He'll be back, you guys. Value. He had 2,000-yard seasons back-to-back with Brandon Marshall there. Even if he does miss week 1, which I've heard everywhere that he's going to be there. But let's say that he's not. I don't care. He's still going to get 1,000-plus yards. He's still the man. They have to throw to somebody. Eddie Royal, 980 yards and 5 touchdowns his rookie season with Cutler. And then last season he had 778 yards and 7 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns the year prior to that. So the touchdowns are a thing for him.
Yes, red zone guy.
Listen, not bad. And their third-year guy, Marcus Wilson, we talked about him last year, but he can't stay healthy. That's why his stats are irrelevant. Like, I could talk about them, but they don't matter. But if he can stay healthy, or if he is playing, and especially if you're playing daily, he's a good play, and he's cheap. And no one is saying the words Matt and Forte next to one another at all this preseason. But I just want to tell you, for 3 years, he's had over 1,000 yards rushing. We all talk about him. Everyone's like, oh, the catches are going to go down. Probably, but he's still going to get 1,000 yards rushing. For the Chicago Bears, they're still going to lean on him. He is still a first-round pick. He's one of those guys you're going to be worried. Why is he falling so low? Don't worry. Because he had 808 yards receiving last year, but before that was 594, and before that it was 340. He was a top 10 guy all 3 years. You're going to be fine, even if he does only 340.
Love it. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for making that quick. Quick and painless. Buffalo Bills, the Detroit Lions.
I actually had so many notes for the Bills, but we're running long, so I'm going to cut a lot of them and just talk about the really important stuff, which matters not because you shouldn't have any of these players on your team.
Oh, yeah, you do. Wow.
But Taylor was named the starting quarterback. This happened on Monday.
Taylor.
Yes. So this is over
Taylor.
Matt Castle. This is over E.J. Manuel, which is interesting because E.J. went 7 for 8 for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns in the last game, and Tyrod Taylor went 12 for 13 for 122 yards and rushing touchdown. Now, here's the deal, is that Taylor needs to improve his accuracy, but he's got a bomb of an arm. And he's flashy, and he's got potential. And I guess, I don't have a problem with this choice because when you've got 3 very subpar quarterbacks, why not go with a guy that you have that potential to build with? I'm okay with this choice. And the team's really supporting him. So that's good, too. I think that's also good that they wanted to make a decision. They want a decision to be made. It has been made, and they're going to back him up. And I think there's a good chance that Rex will actually stick with him and not rotate the carousel of quarterbacks like you see at the Redskins. I think he's going to stick with them this season and, let him just kind of learn the growing pains of it.
Hopefully.
Matt Castle might get cut from the team, guys. So make sure you keep on that. And the most heartbreaking news of all was Fred Jackson being released on Monday.
Oh, my God.
Horrible decision.
Oh my God.
He was slated to make $2.35 million this year. But the thing is, he wasn't asked to take a pay cut. They just cut him. And here's the deal: is that Rex was like, this was the hardest part of the day was cutting Fred Jackson. And I guess their plan apparently is to go with Carlos Williams. But LaShawn McCoy is hurt. He is hurt, and there's a chance that he is not going to come back for week 1. And it says he is not in great football shape. He's not running full speed at practice. He's doing his rehab. But then he had an MRI, and the MRI still shows a small tear in his hamstring. So he is not going to be there. So if this is me, I'm going Fred Jackson versus Carlos Williams. It makes no sense to me, especially $2.35 million is like pocket change to an NFL team. But, whatever, it is what it is. And then Sammy Watkins, he did participate in practice finally, which is great, and Percy Harvin, they're both expected back week 1. So it's going to be interesting to see, chemistry-wise, who Tyrod Taylor kind of leans towards.
I hope it's Sammy Watkins. I've already drafted him.
Yeah, love me some Sammy. So the Lions, we'll make that one quick too. Matthew Stafford, 11 for 15 for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Jags. He's looking great. He's looking fantastic. Golden Tate looks good. He caught 3 passes for 91 yards, and he had a touchdown. So these are all good things. Now, again, our issue is we need to see Calvin Johnson play to see that chemistry. So that's kind of a bit of a problem there, but is what it is. And then Joique Bell, he finally was activated off the PUP list on Monday. He is back at practice. Again, he had an Achilles tendon and knee injury. They're taking it a little bit easy. But, again, the Lions are very adamant that Bell is their starting running back. They've made this very clear.
Yep.
He will, they say when he is healthy, he will be the starter. So, again, I agree. Amir Abdullah, especially if you were to keep your league, it's a fantastic pickup. But please do not think Amir Abdullah is the one who's going to be getting all of the touches. It's not going to happen. And then on the defensive side is that Nagata's hamstring was also activated off the injury list. So this is all good news for the defense.
Yay. Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys.
So the Texans did name Brian Hoyer as the starting quarterback moving forward.
Yay.
Yay. And so what did Ryan Mallett do? He decided to sleep in and be late to practice. And just to confirm their choices.
Yeah.
Big F you, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So here's the other big news. So Arian Foster supposedly, there's some people that think he might be back week 3. But they're pretty much
freak of nature. Freak of nature.
Super freak. So
Love
here's
him.
my thing. His ADP right now is at number 58. I'm willing to take him almost in the 4th round. Listen, if we're taking Le'Veon Bell first overall pick for some people, and he is missing 2 games, would you take Arian Foster in the 4th or 5th round missing 4 games?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, no, I would, and this brings us to a good point. Our family league has moved from 8 to 10, and our friend Susie is joining our league, and she listens to the show, so I really didn't want you to say that out loud because I was really hoping he was going to drop.
Well, here's the thing, and I will say this: I have Arian Foster ranked fairly low on our rankings right now. Because I wanted to see one more week. I wanted one more week of hearing how he's progressing. Because again, there's all these talk people are going to come back, then all of a sudden they're not, and they're because he had a legit injury. But he's going to get skyrocketed up those rankings for me in the next day or two. I just need a little more confirmation that he actually is coming back as early as they say he is.
I think also what this does is that Alfred Blue is really low.
Really low.
And DeAndre Hopkins is the only other relevant fantasy player on this team. And then we're on to the Dallas Cowboys. And it is being rumored, rumor has it, that Darren McFadden, there you go, a little Adele action, is going to actually be the starter over Joseph Randle. And I can't say I'm surprised.
No.
Because this is such a hot mess.
Going so high in drafts the last month.
So high. So high.
Oh, my God.
This is why I said to stay away.
I don't know why anybody's drafting any Dallas running back.
Well,
they're too high. They're way too high.
Dunbar may come in and take some snaps.
He very well will. I'm sure he will.
Hot mess.
They're probably going to, flip a coin to see who's going to start that week.
Guys,
it's going to be the Cleveland Browns of last year all over again.
It's awful.
Okay.
It's awful.
I just want to say, though, he did play in all 16 games last year in Oakland.
That's good. That's promising.
He only went for 534 yards. So he had 16 games.
All 16 games, so that's not promising. But you know what? He was healthy.
He had 1,000-yard season, and that was in 2010.
I just can't.
He has never had double-digit rushing touchdowns. He did have one combined that same year. He had double-digit 10 touchdowns combined with his receiving yards.
But people have a soft spot for him, Brandon. Like even Courtney's husband, Tim, loves Darren McFadden.
Yeah.
We're Darren McFadden. We are fans of McFadden. Value, right?
But he's not value right now.
Where is he going? In the 12th round?
No, he's value. Well, he is until this announcement, and that's what I was going to say. So this announcement has really kind of thrown things up in the air because everyone is like gaga over their offensive line, which is a great offensive line.
Great.
We've just been waiting for there to be some clarity as to who's running behind it, and there has been none. I still think that with the injuries, this is still risky.
It's too risky.
But I think that it's the most relevant thing happening in Dallas. You want Dez. Terrence Williams is still a risk. Cole Beasley, I don't know why we have to continue talking about him. And Tony Romo is going to be fine, I guess. He'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
There you go.
All right, Minnesota Vikings and the Tennessee Titans. Vikings are right in the middle of strength of schedule. They're going to be pretty consistent. I think they're going to be a pretty consistent team this year.
I love them.
In general, I think all of them are going to be consistent. Is that a fair statement to say?
Yeah.
We'll start off with Teddy Bridgewater. Why not? I think he's going to be the best second-year quarterback in the league this year, and I think he's had a great preseason, and that's without AP in the lineup. So with AP in the lineup, that's only going to free up that backfield for him to throw the balls down, and he has an arm and it's accurate, and I just really like him this year. You can get him in the 11th, 12th round. I mean, hello.
My only problem with Teddy is he's had bye weeks of every time I've drafted a quarterback, he's had the same bye week, so I can't draft him as my backup.
It's true because we love Ryan Tannehill and Teddy Bridgewater, and they both have the same bye week.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who else has the same bye week. I think it's bye week 5. Is that right?
5, yeah.
And so that is true. You do want to make sure you're looking at buys when you have your backups because the 11th round for your backup quarterback and it's Teddy Bridgewater is fabulous.
Fabulous, yeah.
The Jets and the Panthers.
Yeah. Eddie Pearson's going to be probably the number 1 guy off your board, if not 2 or 3. So just prepare yourself. If you're not up there, you're not going to get him. Mike Wallace is going in the 7th round. I think that's fine. Charles Johnson is going in the 9th round. I like that more. I'd rather pass on Mike Wallace and get Charles Johnson. There seems to be really good connection with the Bridgewater, so I'm into that. I think he's going to be the number 1 guy for sure by the end of the year. And you know what, Kyle Rudolph, he's injury prone for sure, for sure. But if he can stay healthy, and now that the Vikings are a more complete team, he's not bad. He's not
No, he's not bad.
And he might even be on your waiver wires because he's going in the 15th round in ADP. So sometimes he might not be drafted, right? So I'm okay with him.
I feel like tight ends after the top 3 is like a Sophie's Choice moment. You're just like, I can't make this choice.
I know, it is. It's really bad. They're all bad. There you go.
Except for Delaney
Tennessee Titans.
Except for Delaney, yeah.
Tennessee Titans are right in the middle of strength of schedule as well, which I can't imagine how they have kind of a tougher schedule.
Yeah, they've been awful for years. Shouldn't they have
they've been awful for years. I just don't get it. They should be right down at that bottom, but they're not. The only person I love on this team is Delaney Walker. And I say it every week, and I love him. He's going in the 11th round, which is such a great value for him because I think he's going to be a top 4 tight end come end of the year.
Yeah.
I'm all about him, and everybody knows how I feel about rookie quarterbacks and their tight ends. I just think it is money, money, money.
The next Antonio Gates.
What?
She said the next Antonio Gates.
Oh, he's the next Antonio Gates. I thought you were Phillip Rivers. Been playing for quite some time.
You're like, why are you bringing him up?
Yeah, it's like, okay. Yes, I agree. Big body, just like awesome target, sturdy, consistent. He's consistent, and you don't find that often as a tight end, is the consistent guy. So I'm all about him. Bishop Sankey, the backfield's a little bit of a mess right now.
Yep. Shocking.
At this moment, Sankey's my favorite out of all of them, but David Cobb will most likely become the number 1 guy, but who really knows? It's a running back by committee, and it's not like the best committee to be on.
If Cobb put even like half an effort in, he would supplant Sankey.
If he wasn't a little injured earlier and whatnot. But this is not the Jeremy Hill, Giovanni Bernard committee.
No.
Backfield guys, just so you know.
It's a sad
this is bad. Kendall Wright's going for great value in the 12th round, and Marcus Mariota is, I think an okay backup. He's been kind of all over the board preseason, but if you have a really solid first quarterback that most likely won't get injured, I think Marcus Mariota is a fun backup. Kansas City Chiefs, the St. Louis Rams.
You guys, all I want to talk about is Jeremy Maclin. I'm sorry.
I know, and I'm on the board. I'm on the train.
I saw it in your radar.
Choo-choo. I'm on it.
About time for me. About time.
I will suck up my pride and say I am a Jeremy Maclin fan.
How many preseason touchdowns does this guy need to score before we respect his authority?
Yeah, I'm still ready. I'm still waiting for the regular season touchdown. But yeah, I'm excited for it.
Well, what I love is that they've really changed the way that Maclin plays this game to suit Alex Smith. You can see the actual game plan has changed, and it is working. It is working on all cylinders. And what does this do?
Andy Reid, a great coach. Unlike Jay Gruden, this makes Andy Reid proves that he's such a great coach.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, and I mean this adamantly, this helps Jamal
Charles, absolutely. And Travis Kelce.
Finally not have everyone just in the box trying to stop him. I mean, the guy has been a one-man show for so long. You can just see the glee in his face. He's like, pass game. That doesn't include me.
It's like to have a team. That's what he probably is thinking.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And just a little update. Travis Kelce's fine. Everyone chill out. He did have a slight sprain with his ankle, and listen, they want to save him. Great. I still think the Kelce train's a little crazy. He's going way too high, in my opinion. But I do like him. I do like him moving forward. And once again, Maclin just opens it up because he is a possibility. So, and then I'm also going to tell you that Alex Smith is not your worst enemy.
Yes.
Because he's also a rushing quarterback. He's extremely efficient at rushing.
People don't realize he rushes. He's more so than Kaepernick.
So, I mean, in 2013, he actually had 431 rushing yards. It's not bad.
Not bad at all.
So, but listen, he's not a big passer, but I think that his team is setting him up. And then Courtney said that she thinks Ryan Matthews is the best handcuff in the league, and I think that's possible. But I think Niall Davis is the best true handcuff, because I think Ryan Matthews is going to be used like a regular player in a lot of instances. But I think Niall Davis is also fabulous. So even if you don't own Jamal Charles, I don't hate getting Niall Davis in the 12th to 13th round.
Oh, I would get Niall
agree.
Davis,
Yeah.
especially if you don't own Jamal Charles. Sneak attack on the other guy who drafted Jamal Charles. I have him in almost every single one of my leagues. I have Niall Davis, and I love him. He already plays 30% of the snaps with Jamal Charles in.
Yeah.
So if Jamal Charles does get hurt, I mean, it's a no-brainer, and he has talent like nobody's business.
And potential trade bait.
Yeah, he should go somewhere and play right now because he's number one.
Really good.
Quality. Yep. Rams.
I will say I thought it was funny right about the train for the tight ends. I don't disagree with the Kelsey train. I think the difference is they're different speeds. It's like everyone else other than tight ends are on like a roller coaster, like a Six Flags, and the rest of them are like a little kid roller coaster. The tight ends that goes like a fourth the speed.
It's a small world.
Yeah, you know, that's their train. It's just different speeds. Different.
We need to
speeds.
get Delaney Walker off the small world.
We
No,
do.
he's off the small world. He is.
Yeah,
He's
brutal.
definitely.
But the Rams, there's not a whole lot to talk about here, so I'm really just going to kind of touch on Trey Mason, who suffered a mild hamstring strain during the last game. This is a problem because a lot of people did handcuff themselves if they took Todd Gurley and they took Trey Mason, which I understand why they did that. But now that you've got Trey Mason also hurt and a Todd Gurley who's not slated to play week 1, you got a bit of a situation in your hands right
Benny Cunningham. I almost said something bad.
It's the situation.
So Trey Mason didn't have a whole lot of upside anyway. Todd Gurley will be the guy. But again, they're not going to rush him. They're going to bring him back when he's ready. Todd Gurley is still a perfectly fine guy to draft. I do think he will be the most successful rookie running back in the league this year. I still believe that, even though he's going to be out for a few games. But just keep your eye on that and make sure that you've got a backup situation in hand, and make sure you ride that waiver wire if you did do Trey Mason in that situation. And again, I don't really love, I'll have to look at next week in terms of their schedule, but I don't love any of the Rams right now with zero running back situation at the moment.
And they're horrible offensive line.
Terrible, terrible offensive line.
Nick Foles
is running around like a madman. It's just not good. It's not good right now. So stay away from the Rams entirely right now. Is that fair to say just stay away from the entire team?
I wonder how many times you said situation during that write-up. It's a situation.
We all went to the Jersey Shore last weekend together. Yes. All three of us were together. And so the situation now has a special place in our heart. Because real.
I'm a cusser. I cuss a lot, and I'm not allowed to cuss on this show. So situation is, being used for like, bleep, it's a bleep, bleep, it's a bleep, stay with bleep. Yeah, that's what's going on in the radio.
You know what? And if you guys are if anybody is from Jersey that listens to our show, it did not disappoint. It did not disappoint. It was everything I wanted and more, and I appreciate it. You guys sticking true. I wish you had more Starbucks, but other than that, it was fabulous, fabulous. Thank you, Jersey. That was a good time. And thank you, Fantasy Network, for sending us there. We had a great time at the Fantasy Football Weekend. So
Fantasy Sports Network.
Fantasy Sports Network. Awesome. Go check them out. They're great. Arizona Cardinals, the Denver Broncos. The Cardinals have a pretty hard schedule. It does not take me away from Carson Palmer, which his value on his forehead. I love Carson Palmer so much. If he does not get hurt, he will be a top 5 quarterback. And he was on the train to being a top 5 quarterback last year before he got injured. So he is a complete value pick. Andre Ellington, on the other hand, I'm not trusted much coming out of that backfield. No, I'm not. No, I'm not at all. There's Chris Johnson and David Cobb. I don't know. I'm just not. I'm just staying away. Staying away. But I love the receivers. I think Larry Fitzgerald's going to have quite a year.
Can you believe you get him in the 9th or 10th round now?
9th or 10th round, and Carson Palmer loves him. So I think it's a great value. I really do. And John Brown, I love you more than anything. He's amazing. I do. I really enjoy him. We were talking about it earlier, but he is so cheap in fantasy at FanDuel for week 1 daily. He should be on all of your rosters because that's just bananas. And they love him in the red zone. And he has big play potential. So he's a Kenny Stills and Eddie Royal put together, and he can make you some real money. So I'm all about him. Done. Denver Broncos. Man, they haven't looked good this preseason. They've not looked good. It's bad. It's really bad. As Bronco fans, it makes me very nervous. As fantasy owners, it makes me very nervous because these guys aren't cheap. They're not coming off the board cheap. So it's kind of scary. It's a very slow start for Manning in his new offense. We would definitely not stretch for him. And hey, we live in Broncos country, so oftentimes people vote for their homers, so they're taking Broncos way too early anyway. So, but I'm kind of staying away from Peyton Manning. I do still love Demaryius Thomas because he's sheer talent and he's fine, and that's great. Emmanuel Sanders, Sanders has been hurt, so you might be able to get him for cheaper than expected. And again, I don't think you should stretch for him. Kubiak tends to have number 2 wide receivers not have the best years, kind of his offense. So, although Sanders is a beast, caution yourself.
Take Cooks instead.
Take Cooks and Brandon Cooks?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree with that, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Brees looks great, and I think, I don't think
they're going around the same spot. So
they are. So I think that's a great comparison. I would do Cooks as well. And back to Peyton Manning, they're going to be running the ball a lot more this year. They just are. You know, it's what's going to happen. C.J. Anderson, he's going 11th overall, and that's fine. But if you're going to handcuff yourself, choose Hillman, because I do believe he's going to be the number 1 guy at some point, with Anderson possibly getting injured. So that's the thing. Okay, San Diego Chargers at San Francisco 49ers. Okay. Changes. Dolphins. Changes. Anyways, again, kind of a hard schedule, right in the middle. But Phillip Rivers is going in the 9th, 10th round. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think that's value. Keenan Allen, he's going in the 5th round, and again, I think that's value. I'm okay with him. I really like him, and I think people forget about him. So I'm fine with that. And Stevie Johnson has looked good this preseason.
Really good.
Yeah. Really good. And I love that him and
That's
Rivers
how you
are
do
connecting.
me.
That's how you do me. So he sometimes isn't even going at all. Right now his ADP is 177. So great last pick. Malcolm Floyd again, great last pick. He can pick him up off the waiver wires because it's his swan song too. Yep. It's it, guys. This is it. This is his last year.
Won't be as good as Steve Smith Sr.'s swan song, though.
Well, because it won't involve fighting.
Well, that's true, Brennan.
And
that does always up the ante for me.
And Malcolm Floyd's retiring so he can spend time with his family.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of situation. Steve Smith's retiring because he's old. Malcolm's retiring so he can be with his family and not die in football with his neck injuries. Melvin Gordon, he's not my favorite. Not my favorite. He's struggled a little bit this preseason and offseason with the team trying to step up to the NFL standards. I would skip on him. He's going to the 3rd round. I would skip on him. It's way too high for him because it's going to be a lot more running back by committee, which the Chargers coaches just came out today saying, yeah, it's running back by committee. I thought everybody knew that. Yeah, because Danny Woodhead is legit. And right now he's going in the 14th round. That's crazy. I love him, especially in PPRs. He's my number 1 guy in San Diego. And then Antonio Gates, he will be missing the first 4 games. He's going in the 12th round. I would not handcuff yourself with his backup, Ladarius Green.
It's like he's being blacklisted. People will not draft him. And I'm like, he's only suspended 4 games, and he was the 2nd highest scoring tight end last year.
He's really old and moves really slow, but it doesn't matter. They still make him part of the offense.
Doesn't matter.
So does Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah. Touche, Brandon.
Well, it's not as important
Brandon's got to get her one
for the quarterback.
There it was, Brandon. We're near the end, but you got it, Brandon.
You got it. Oh, yay. All right, that's all. 49ers.
So, Colin Kaepernick's mechanics have improved, and there's no getting around that. He does look a lot better. His offensive line lets him get sacked every other time he drops back. So, for all the work that he did, he may not get a chance to be better.
It's really sad.
It's really sad. He actually, legitimately, I have to tell you, because if you watch the preseason games, you may not realize this. He has improved as a football player. So if they can get it together, there could be improvement here. And luckily, he's not being drafted high. You're going to be fine. Carlos Hyde may be a deal now. No one likes this guy. But he's had a really good preseason. He's averaging over 5 yards per carry in the preseason as the starter.
With the bad offensive line.
With a bad offensive line. I think he is much better than where
bad offensive team.
Yeah. I mean, it is really pretty unbelievable. So when it comes to running backs, Carlos Hyde is going, hold on, I just had this in front of me. Of course, I always mess up. 18th running back off the board. He's going 39 overall, so the end of the third. I think that's where he should be going as one of the only true running backs going forward. So I just want to let you know, you probably have some hesitation, but if you're going to take Melvin Gordon there, you should
I would
take Hyde over
Gordon.
Yeah.
Because like you said, he's a featured back. He's a solo back. So even if there's mistakes to be made, they're his mistakes to be made, not with 3 other guys.
Yeah. On 13 carries this preseason, 73 yards, 5.61 yards per carry. You just can't argue with that. What you can argue with is the whole passing game. In good news, the only guy that you're probably going to draft is Anquan Boldin and then Torrey Smith. But they're both going very, very late in drafts. So I don't think they're terrible options. I have to believe that this offensive line is going to get back together a little bit? No? I mean, Torrey Smith's going...
I hope so. I mean, yeah, retirement has not been nice to San Francisco. I think that everybody's just... I feel bad for the coach. We talked about this last time. I feel bad for the coach. You know, it's just sad that he's got such a hot mess in front of him. But I do believe the 49ers might be able to work it out.
Well, both Torrey and Anquan Boldin are going in the early 100s, so around your 10th round, and I'm okay with that because they are the starting wide receivers, undisputed, and I think that's 10th, 9th or 10th round value for you. I don't think you're going to get your money back in week 1, but I think you will get some value out of them week 3 to 10.
I think they're a hot mess, so I'm staying away from all of them other than Anquan Boldin. Colin Kaepernick is in that realm of RG3 for me, that everybody seems to think of that 1 year, or in Colin Kaepernick's case, even 4 or 5 games, and they hold on to it.
Here's the difference, Ashley. Colin Kaepernick can stay healthy.
I totally agree. Yes, Colin
RG3,
he's got a chance to redeem himself, but Brennan said, he's not going to be able to with that offensive line. So it's
going to be tough.
It's tough. His passing yards have gone up every year. He had his most passing yards last year at 3,369. Now, are you going to be able to win a bunch of games off of that? No. But he also had more rushing yards this year, too. People overestimated his decline. It actually stayed about the same 2013 to 2014. People thought he'd make a big leap. That's what he didn't do. He
didn't rush as much, did he?
No, he did.
People in their head thought he thought of him as a
rushing,
top 5 quarterback, which he never was and never will be.
Exactly. People thought he would be something he will not be.
Exactly. So
but now he's being drafted okay. Yeah.
Anyways, enough talk about a guy you're not even drafting. I'm not drafting. Let's get started with the Oakland Raiders, shall we? Yeah. And the Seattle Seahawks.
I'll keep it pithy. Courtney, wide receiver Rod Streeter is expected to be the Raiders' number 3 wide receiver if he stays healthy. I have to always give a Rod Streeter shout out to Courtney because that's her jam. That's her boy.
That's my jam.
It's just such a sad jam.
Yeah.
It's a sad jam.
Everyone's got their jam,
but I'm totally into it.
What was that awful berry we had in our backyard in Nebraska?
You smush it and it was everywhere. You couldn't get rid of it. That's
that kind of jam.
That's Rod Streeter. Ouch. He's a bad berry. Intriguing. Well, you know who's not as Amari Cooper.
Smack.
Amari Cooper is not. He had 4 catches for 62 yards in the preseason game against Arizona. Looking good. He's got great chemistry with Derek Carr. They're loving each other. I think that's going to be a great tandem. I'm a big fan of Amari Cooper. Again, worth his hype. And then, not surprising, Trent Richardson was released on Monday. So I thought this really. Richardson literally has to be considered one of the most disappointing drafts of all time. He was 3rd overall pick in the 2012 draft, guys. 3rd overall. He's been on 4 different teams.
That's sad.
It is.
Some people just can't make the jump from college to NFL.
They can't, and it's one of those.
I think something bad happened. Actually,
about it. Something had to. It's bizarre. It is very bizarre. And then wide receiver Kembrell Tompkins was also released on Monday. So it's just there's interesting things going on. Again, like
that doesn't surprise me.
Had a great when he was with the Patriots. He had a couple good games, and then it was just like whoop, crash.
I know. I loved it when everybody picked him up and put him in their rosters. I was like, oh, please do. Please do.
Yeah, no one wants the guy.
No.
Anyway.
Put him with Jonas Gray.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get together for a beer here and there.
We made a rest in peace a thing on Instagram. We don't use Instagram as much as we should, but you can check us out on Her Fantasy FB. But we should continue on with that. And Trent Richardson has to be our next guy.
That's probably true.
That's sad.
It is sad. Adios. Seahawks. So like Brandon said, they traded Kevin Norwood to the Falcons. This was in exchange for a conditional draft pick. So we'll see what they do with that. Wide receivers Deshaun Fox and Deontay Greenberry were waived Monday. And the talk is that they are interested in Fred Jackson, the Seahawks. So that is the deal. That's kind of actually really sad for Robert Turbin. It's also sad for Michael, but Jackson is a better option. And Jackson and Marshawn Lynch are friends. So that could be a really interesting dynamic there. Who isn't friends with Fred Jackson?
Yeah, if you're not friends with him, you get to get punched in the face like Gino.
Right. So I don't think he would.
Norwood is with the Panthers, by the way, not the Falcons.
Yeah, but it's not a great play for Jackson as they run Marshawn. This is not going to be a committee situation in Seattle if they pick Jackson up. That will be purely a change of pace back, and he's got a lot left in the tank. Fred Jackson. He's actually had a decent preseason, so I was a little shocked.
He had a great preseason.
I
think they let him have a good preseason, so he would be picked up immediately. But
I hope so. So I kind of hope he doesn't go to the Seahawks because he won't see the field. So that's my hope.
Yay. Well, I know that was a little bit of a long show, but there was a lot to cover. It's last week before real games start, guys. So it's go time. It's go time. Make sure if you had early drafts that you're aware of injuries and you can start picking up people on your waiver wires. This is a good time to really review the rules of each one of your drafts so you know what you're doing. But hop over to herfantasyfootball.com, subscribe to us so you can get all of our notes and podcasts and all of our fun things. And don't forget to listen to us on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio from 8 to 10 Eastern. And, Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. We're on all of it. So listen to us everywhere. And you can give us nice rankings, too. That would be great. You can also chat with us on Twitter at HerFantasyFB and on Facebook /HerFantasyFootball. Until next time, no more faking it.